My name is Tanya Curry, and this is this week's Acumen Media Report. It's entitled A National Disaster and a Mining Graveyard. Food poisoning. He called it a national disaster, but what does that mean? It means that they can release cash from a specific fund to handle the situation. Is that what this is? A situation? In the past few weeks, more than 24 of our babies have died, and their cause of death has been completely elusive. We heard Cyril say that this was a tragedy and that Spaza Shops had 21 days to re-register their businesses.
All Spaza shops and other food handling facilities must be registered within municipalities in which they operate within 21 days from today.
What we didn't hear is that those Gogos that sit at the side of the road next to the school with their peanut butter sandwiches will never be allowed to register, which means that you're driving the kids to the exact destination where they might meet their death, the Spaza Shop. He also failed to mention that a foreigner needs 5 million in their bank accounts to even register a business in South Africa. Do you see it? Hunger Games. Chaos ensued because there are over 150,000 Spaza shops contributing 180 billion to our economy every year. Even locals are helping foreigners re-register because they need these Spaza shops. Who will feed our nation?
We are exposed now that these shops are closed because these people give us food when we are running short of money. They never deny you food, but what is happening now, it is a blow to us as the people that have been buying from these Spaza shops.
I watched Minister Senzo Mchunu take centre stage at a massive heist in Durban where a shipping container filled with expired food was paraded across the TV. He pointed to a pack of spice and identified it as the culprit because this is the type of spice that is found in our chip packets. While Mkhunu was interrogating a packet of spice, children were hospitalized in Mossel Bay, suffering from food poisoning. That's quite a far way from Durbs, isn't it? This war on spazas has become so bad that people believe that the small tin of Lucky Star is fake fish, and Stony Ginger Beer has become the object of great scrutiny. It is now clear that the cesspit that is our spazas has been keeping not only expired food, but also prescription medication for the shelves. This and many other counterfeit goods. After all the facts were unveiled, owners of these spazas, frightened of getting arrested, started dumping all their expired and illegal goods, creating yet another headache. National disaster? You got that right. Stilfontein has dominated headlines every day. Last week I told you about 4,000 miners trapped underground who refused to resurface for fear of being arrested and or deported. This week, the story revealed that there were not 4,000 miners. The number was never confirmed, and that these guys have been down there for almost 4 weeks. How on earth can anyone survive 4 weeks without food and water? I'm told there's a couple of Spaza shops down these disused mines. I wonder if they're registered and if they've cleared out their expired food. Perhaps that was a bit below the belt, but after 1,000 zamazamas surfaced this week, the police removed the pulley that would enable the miners to exit the shaft. So these criminals cannot get out, even if they wanted to. There were requests from the miners to supply life-saving ARVs. South Africa asked to see the prescriptions for that medication. Obviously, that was never going to happen, was it?
Antiretrovirals are not Panado. They are not over-the-counter medication. They go from one patient, from a doctor to a patient or a nurse to a patient, following particular policies and standards. But after an encounter with such a doctor, they are not just distributed like food or like water or like vitamins. So that's exactly what I was discussing with the minister.
There was an urgent interdict in court pressing the police to arrange for the miners to exit. Strange that we have to battle in court to stop digging a graveyard underground. Regardless of whether they are criminals or not, we have a set of laws in our country, and burying people alive is not considered best practice. The SANDF arrived today to aid or exasperate the situation. You decide. It's a mining graveyard. It's been a busy week. We were raiding all over the place. This time it was electricity meters as the deadline looms for prepaid meters across Gauteng. Eskom says over 5 million prepaid electricity meters have already been upgraded, and yet queues are still forming just before deadline, which is this weekend. Ramaphosa stands firm in his assertion that the deadline is fixed and will not be altered. And then that was that. The media stopped talking about it. So weird, this media space I live in, deathly silent. It was the president's birthday, and we watched as he was given cake mid-air in his private plane, surrounded by people who he pays. He's been busy, old cupcake. He's officially the head of the G20 as COP29 comes to an end and reins are shifted from Brazil to South Africa. Ramaphosa does conduct himself as a statesman. That we will have to be grateful for. On the back of the ICJ ruling that Netanyahu and company should be arrested for war crimes, Ramatras warned that if the UN is not reformed, there is a great chance of more war. He stated the obvious, but he is right. And as for our former president, Zuma, well, the state attorney slammed Zuma for suggesting, get this, that his dead advocate is somehow responsible for Zuma's legal fees. It's almost 30 million. The oak was your advocate. How can your debt be his? You know what? Oh, sack, man. There is no end to your awfulness. I was ready to dismiss MK when I learned that they are a year old this week, and Floyd Turncoat Shabambu said that MK will lead in every province in the next election. Does that mean they're actually going to do some work? It's been a year. When the media quizzed Advocate Pretorius from the state capture inquiry, he made it very clear that the state capture is alive and well, and the entire inquiry has been muted after years of exceptionally hard work, while all the criminals have landed safely at the MK party. Wasted words. HSRC produced a study that made my jaw drop. Apparently, 7 out of 10 men believe women should obey their husbands. That explains the GBV rate, doesn't it? We have a femicide rate that is 5 times the global average. Who writes these things? And more importantly, how many respondents are in this so-called study? Because those 7 out of 10 should be interrogated. But then again, a free pen is never a great incentive for a survey. Women's rights, graveyards. Then Miss South Africa's Mia LaRue, who was heading off to Miss Universe after the Chadima saga, withdrew because she cited health conditions. Joburg councillors gave themselves a salary increase during a chaotic online meeting headed by the IFP's Flabisa. He made those salary adjustments so hastily that even the gavel couldn't keep pace. All eyes are on Ronaldo Gogos as the race's time is up, and Janinda alleges that Kelly Khumalo orchestrated Senzo Mayiwe's murder. This trial will age with me. Then I read that we're building dams to stop our water crisis. What? I mean, we don't have a water storage problem. We have a crumbling infrastructure problem. Talk about paper mache over the cracks. Oh, thank goodness we get to sport. Bafana hit gold with 3-0 victory over Sudan. Gates and McKenzie told Safa that they will not have no excuse if Bafana fails to qualify for the 2025 African Cup of Nations and the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And then the Springboks met Wales tomorrow in what is bound to keep our smiles wide this weekend. And what about America? Well, what a crazy place that is. Elon Musk literally thinks he's Clark Kent as he sports a new set of spectacles. Rogan, Musk, and RFK are pictured on Trump's plane eating McDonald's. It's funny because RFK has no love for fast processed food. In fact, he's dead against it, and he's been selected as the health secretary. So there's that sudden change of heart. It wasn't only burgers in the sky. No, we had Donny joining Elon at a rocket launch. Not that climate change matters at COP29. And then we saw Trumpet with Joe Rogan at a UFC event. They're having the time of their lives, these guys. Meanwhile, Biden is walking into forests as he thinks the Amazon is his new stage. Send him home. And then probably one of the biggest stories of the year is the fight between Iron Mike Tyson and YouTuber Jake Paul. Did you watch it? I did, and yes, I screamed at the screen when Netflix froze, but I also had a good holler at Mike. That fight was rigged.
Tyson, just ask Kevin McBride, just ask Francois Botha, Evander Holyfield, you get the gist.
There's no way he was going to lose. Did you see his training video versus Jakey Wakey? No comparison. I say Tyson lost, but he didn't. He bagged 20 million US dollars. That's not a loss, that's a win. More fool us for buying into this marketing ploy. Thank goodness the weekend is upon us and the weather is smashing. I'm going to jump into the blue waters of paradise this weekend and under the surface where it's silent, become blissfully unaware of the chaos on land. I'm Tonya Curry, and thank you for scratching the surface with me and Acumen Media.